Hey everyone, welcome to the show. You know that feeling, scrolling through, perfect homes on Instagram and getting a little pang of envy? How do they make it look so effortless? You know?
It is a pretty common feeling, I think. There's this pressure, yeah, this pressure to have that picture perfect space, but honestly, good design, it goes way beyond just how things look.
Totally. And that's exactly what drew me to House Rules by Emma Kemper.
Mhm.
I loved how it's not really about strict rules.
Yeah.
It's more about understanding the why behind the choices you make in your design. It's like she's giving us that secret code to crack the design world and make a space that feels like us.
Yes. She really wants people to see their homes as this evolving story, not a snapshot in time. That resonated a lot with me too. It's all about making a space that works with how you live, how you feel, how you want to express yourself.
Okay, so let's jump into that first big thing, finding your style. It's easy, to get kind of sucked into trends, but Emma's really big on looking past all of that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
She talks about sense of place, this idea that your home's design should connect to what's around it. Like a Tuscan villa might look amazing in, well, Tuscany, but would it feel right in the middle of a suburban neighborhood? It's more about understanding the context of your home, the architecture, where it's located.
That makes total sense. It's
Yeah.
like I wouldn't wear like a ball gown to a barbecue,
Right.
right? You choose an outfit that fits.
Exactly. And it's not just the big picture, it's the little details too. If you have a loft, for example, with exposed brick, you might lean into that industrial feel instead of trying to, cover it all up.
You're right. It's not about denying what you have, but working with it, right? Making it unique. And I remember Emma also talking about playing to your home's strengths.
Yes. Seeing what makes your space stand out, the things that make it special, and then highlighting them. Maybe it's the light, incredible natural light or a cozy fireplace. Design choices can really make those things shine.
Okay, so let's say you've kind of figured out your style, you're feeling inspired, and you're ready to actually get started. Where does Emma recommend starting?
She is a big, big proponent of purging. She even quotes William Morris in the book. He said, "Have nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful."
Oh, I love that quote. It's so true. It's not just about minimalism, right? It's about being intentional with what you've got around you.
Absolutely. It's like curating your belongings, making sure they fit your style, your needs, all of that. And you might even rediscover some cool things in the process.
Like maybe that old side table just needs new paint or some cool new hardware, and it fits perfectly with your new style.
Exactly. She's all about seeing the potential in what you already have before you go out and buy all new things.
But before you even start moving furniture around, Emma says there's a really crucial question to ask yourself. How do you actually live in your space?
That's such a good point. It really matters, right? Do you work from home? Entertain a lot? Big family? All these things change what materials you pick, the layout, even the furniture.
There's this quote from Rita Koenig that she uses. It says, luxury means having everything you need within arm's reach. It's so true. It's not just about fancy stuff. It's about function that feels luxurious.
Right. It's a home that works for you, that helps you feel at ease. And speaking of feeling at ease, how about we talk about the thing that tends to cause the most stress in design? Money
Huh?
matters.
Budgets.
Yeah.
I always get a little intimidated by this part. But Emma actually has some pretty practical advice.
Oh, for sure. She brings up this idea of an FF&E schedule. It stands for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Basically, it's like a super detailed spreadsheet where you list out everything you need, room by room.
So it's like a really organized shopping list. Takes the guesswork out of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And helps you stick to your budget. You can put prices next to everything, see the big picture. Plus, you're less likely to forget little things like light bulbs and stuff.
And, about staying on budget, Emma gives this piece of advice I found really surprising. She actually recommends a specific rule when it comes to where you get your furniture.
You're talking about the rule of thirds?
That's it. Tell me more about that.
Basically, the idea is that your furniture should be one-third vintage, one-third custom-made, and one-third from those big box stores.
So instead of buying everything new, you're saying mix in some vintage finds and like pieces that are made just for you.
Exactly. It creates this cool, layered look. Plus, it helps with the budget. You can spend a bit more on those special vintage or custom things, knowing you'll balance it out with more affordable options.
I never thought about it that way. I always thought mixing styles would end up looking chaotic, but she makes a good point.
Yeah, and it's not just mixing for the sake of it. It's choosing things with a story, things that show your personality. It gives your space depth.
Like creating a visual story, right? And speaking of choosing things with a purpose, Emma talks a lot about hero pieces.
Those are the key pieces of furniture that really anchor a room, the ones you use the most. The sofa in the living room, the bed, the dining table, your desk, things like that.
So these are the ones worth putting money into, right?
Yeah.
Because they're part of your daily life. How do you choose the right hero pieces for your space, though?
Well, let's start with the sofa. It's often the heart of the living room, right? Emma gets into some cool specifics here, like the two-thirds rule.
Two-thirds rule. What's that?
So it's a guide for picking the right sofa size for your space. Ideally, your sofa should be about two-thirds the length of the wall it's going against.
So it doesn't feel too big or too small. It's all about balance.
Exactly. She also says it's super important to try sofas out before you buy them. Pay attention to the comfort, the support, even how the fabric feels.
That's so true. I've definitely made that mistake before. You don't want a sofa that looks amazing in the store, but is terrible to actually sit on.
Exactly. And she goes even deeper, like explaining the pros and cons of different fillings, foam versus down, stuff like that.
So you can really decide based on how you want the sofa to feel. Like, do you want it to be super sink-in and comfy or more firm and supportive?
Yeah. It's all about understanding those little differences so you can make choices you'll be happy with.
Now, what about the bed?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be the most used piece of furniture in the whole house, right?
For sure. And Emma actually goes way beyond just the mattress size. She talks about the height of the frame, the style of the headboard, do you need storage? All these things affect the feel of the room.
Oh, yeah. Like a low bed gives you a more relaxed, minimalist vibe, while a tall headboard can make a bolder statement.
Right. It's about thinking about those visual cues, how they contribute to the mood you want in the space.
And the dining table. It's not just for eating, it's where people gather, families share meals, memories are made, all that.
And she's all about choosing a table that fits your lifestyle. Like if you have a big family or you love hosting dinners, you probably need a table that extends.
What about the shape of the table? Does that matter?
Yeah, totally. A rectangle is great for lots of seating, but round tables are better for conversation. It's more intimate.
So many things to think about. It's not just about looks, it's about how it'll actually work in your life.
Exactly. And that applies to choosing a desk, too. Emma really wants people to think about how they work and what features they need in a desk.
Like if you're someone who likes to spread out with paperwork, you'll need a bigger surface. But if you're mainly on a laptop, you could go with a smaller desk.
You got it. It's all about matching the desk to how you'll use it.
Okay, so we've talked about finding our style, getting rid of clutter, understanding how we actually use our space. We've even figured out how to budget and shop for those hero pieces. What's next on Emma's design roadmap?
Now that we have a vision for our furniture and style, it's time to get down to space planning. That means floor plans.
This is where I usually just grab a napkin and start scribbling. But I bet Emma has a more refined approach.
She does. It's very step by step. You start by measuring everything, not just length and width, but where the doors are, windows, even electrical outlets.
Because those little things can really change how you arrange furniture, right? You don't want to end up blocking a doorway or have a lamp that can't reach an outlet.
Exactly. It's all about getting those details right.
And I remember she even talks about using design software.
She does. She mentions the pro-level stuff like AutoCAD, but she also talks about free and easy options like SketchUp and Room Sketcher.
So even if you're not a designer, you can still create a digital floor plan to see your ideas. That's so cool.
It is. And it takes away the guesswork. You can see exactly how everything will fit before you start moving heavy furniture.
I love that. She even has some fun tips for trying out different layouts, like drawing one plan based on the room's focal point and then another one that completely ignores it.
It's all about testing things out. You might be surprised what you discover.
I love that reminder to think outside the box. But what about making sure you actually have space to move around?
Emma covers that too. She's big on walkways, and how people move through a room.
Like the path from the entryway to the main seating area should be wider than the space between, say, the sofa and a side table.
Exactly. You want it to feel natural and easy to move around.
This is making so much sense. I can already see how a well-planned floor plan makes everything so much easier. But what if you have a small space? Anything different to think about?
Emma actually has some great advice for small spaces. And here's one that might surprise you. Don't be afraid to use big statement pieces.
Really? I always thought small spaces meant you needed small furniture.
It's a common thought, but a large rug, for instance, can make a small room feel bigger. It's better to have a few larger pieces than a lot of smaller ones cluttering up the space.
That's interesting. It's like tricking the eye, making the space feel bigger than it is.
Yeah.
What other tips does she have for small spaces?
She really loves multi-purpose furniture, things that do double duty, like ottomans with storage, sofa beds, those nesting tables, things like that. Save space.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And how about making the space feel more open visually?
She recommends using pieces that have clear elements, like tables with glass tops or lucite chairs. Because you can see through them, they don't feel as heavy in the room.
That's a great idea. Okay, we've got our floor plan down. We're feeling good about it. What's next in Emma's design world?
Well, now that we've got the layout sorted, it's time to dive into the wonderful world of color.
All right, let's do it. Color is so powerful, but it can also be a little, well, overwhelming sometimes.
Emma really breaks it down for you. She goes through all the color schemes, monochromatic, analogous, complementary. She gives you a clear way to understand how colors work together.
Like having a cheat sheet for color. No more staring blankly at paint chips, trying to figure out the color wheel.
And she even gets into color psychology, which is super interesting.
Color psychology. Tell me more about that.
It's about how different colors can make you feel different things. Like blue is often associated with being calm and peaceful, while red can be more energetic and passionate.
So if you want a bedroom that feels relaxing, you might go with blues and greens. But if you need a boost of energy in your home office, you might add some reds or yellows.
Exactly. It's all about choosing colors on purpose, creating the right feeling in each space.
This is fascinating. I'm already rethinking my own color choices.
Right. There's so much more to it than you might think.
Okay, we've got our colors, but how do we actually get them on the walls? Time for paint.
Emma has some really helpful tips for picking the right paint colors and finishes. One of my favorites is to test paint samples on several walls throughout the day.
Because the light changes how a color looks.
Right.
Something that looked perfect in the morning might look totally different in the afternoon.
Totally. She also explains all the different paint finishes, flat, satin, semi-gloss, high gloss. Each one has its pros and cons.
Like flat paint is good at hiding imperfections, but it's not as durable, while high gloss is super shiny and easy to clean, but it shows every little flaw.
Exactly. It's about picking the right finish for the look you want and how the room is used.
So it's not just about the color, it's about understanding the technical side too. But what about wallpaper? Any advice for those of us who love wallpaper?
She's a fan. She sees it as a great way to add personality and create a focal point in a room.
I bet she has tips for choosing the right wallpaper, right? There's so many options.
She does. One key thing she says is to think about the scale of the pattern. A small room should have a smaller print. A large room can handle a bolder, larger scale print.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want a tiny powder room to feel overwhelmed by a giant floral print. Right.
Exactly. It's all about visual balance. So we've covered a lot of the foundational stuff, the basics, but let's talk about something a little less, concrete, but just as important. In House Rules, Emma talks a lot about creating a home that not only looks good, but feels good too.
Okay, I'm curious. What does she mean by feels good? Is it like creating that cozy, welcoming vibe?
Yeah, that's part of it, but it's deeper than just comfy sofas and soft lighting. It's about a space that supports your well-being where you can really relax, recharge.
I love that, like designing your home to be a sanctuary, a place that takes care of you, not just looks nice.
Exactly. She wants you to think about how you want to feel in each room and then make choices that actually bring out those feelings.
So like if I want my bedroom to feel calm and serene, I might go for a calming color palette, maybe add some soft textures, natural materials, that kind of thing.
Right. Or if you want a living room that feels energetic, perfect for hanging out with friends,
Yeah.
you might go with brighter colors, bold patterns, comfy seating that encourages conversation.
It's crazy how much thought goes into creating a home that really works for you on that level. It's not just surface stuff, it's deeper about who you are.
Yeah, it's about designing a home that reflects you, how you want to live. And speaking of reflecting who you are, Emma talks about adding those personal touches, making it your space.
I love that part. That's what makes a space feel real, not like a showroom. But
Oh.
how do you do that without it getting too cluttered or random?
Emma's big on editing. Be picky about what you display. Choose things that mean something, things that have a story.
So not just every little knick-knack,
Mm.
right? Just things that bring you joy, that tell people something about you.
Yes. And she recommends grouping similar items together so it looks more pulled together visually, like a collection of old cameras on a shelf or a gallery wall with family photos.
Those are good ideas.
Yeah.
Little moments that catch your eye and tell a story.
And don't forget about books. Emma loves using books in design. They're not just for reading, they're decor too. Adds warmth, personality.
So true. Books say so much about what you're interested in, what you've experienced.
Yeah, plus they add texture, visual weight to a room. She talks about stacking them, using them as bookends, even just leaving one open to a favorite page.
I'm getting so many ideas. We talked about the front door earlier, but Emma goes way beyond just painting it.
Oh, yeah. She wants you to think about the whole entryway. It's the first thing people see, so make it functional and welcoming.
Like having a spot for keys and mail so it doesn't end up all over the place.
Exactly. Even a little console table or something on the wall makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
And a mirror is always good to check yourself before you go out ND to make the space feel bigger.
Yeah, and maybe a piece of art you love or some fresh flowers. It sets the tone right away.
So true. Now, from the entryway, let's head into the heart of the home, the kitchen. What are some of Emma's must-knows for a kitchen that's stylish A&D, works well?
We talked about that magic triangle thing, making sure the fridge, sink, and stove are in a good flow.
Hmm.
But she gets into the details too, cabinets, countertops, backsplash, all that.
Countertops especially. There are so many choices. Natural stone, engineered stuff. It's hard to know where to start.
She breaks it all down.
Mhm.
Talks about quartz being super durable, marble is classic but needs more care, laminate is budget friendly.
She's realistic about each one too, right? Like marble is gorgeous, but it stains easily. You got to be careful. Yeah, you got to know the trade-offs, pick what works for you. And then there's the backsplash. That can really change the whole look of a kitchen.
Does Emma have any, favorite backsplash trends?
She's not really about chasing trends, more about timeless design. But she has great advice on choosing a backsplash that goes with your countertops and cabinets.
So if the countertop is busy, maybe a simpler backsplash is better. Or you could do a bold tiled design to make a statement.
You got it. It's all about balance. And speaking of balance, let's move to the dining room.
Emma has great ideas for a space that works for everyday A&D special occasions.
I remember she talks about lighting, right? Like setting the mood.
Oh, for sure. She likes using different types of light. A statement chandelier, maybe some sconces on the wall, table lamps. Makes it feel warm and inviting.
And dimmers are a must-have, right? So you can adjust the light for whatever you're doing.
Yeah, bright and cheerful for breakfast, then dim and cozy for a fancy dinner party.
And she loves textiles in the dining room too, right? Totally. Tablecloths, runners, napkins, all that. Adds texture, visual interest. She's all about playing with patterns and colors.
So it doesn't have to be all matchy-matchy, it can be more eclectic.
Exactly. And she even suggests using unexpected things as centerpieces, like a bowl of fruit, a plant, or even some old candlesticks.
Love it. Thinking outside the box. Okay, from the dining room, let's go to a space that's all about relaxation. The bedroom.
The bedroom should be your sanctuary, right? Where you can escape and unwind.
What are some of Emma's best tips for a bedroom that feels truly restful?
We talked about the calming colors, natural materials, all that, but she's also big on creating a sense of calm and order.
So no piles of clothes or stacks of papers everywhere.
Nope. Make the bed every day, keep surfaces clear, and get some stylish storage to hide all the stuff you need but don't want to see.
It's amazing how much those little things can change how a space feels.
Totally. And don't forget the bed itself. She gets into choosing the right mattress, pillows, sheets. It's all about creating that perfect sleep haven.
I love how she talked about layering different textures. Makes it feel so cozy and inviting.
And she even gives tips on how to make your bed look like those magazine photos, perfectly plumped pillows, tucked in duvet, all that.
Okay, I need those tips. My bed never looks that good.
She makes it sound easy. And speaking of making things easier, she has some great advice for organizing the closet, too.
Oh, man. Closet organization is my weakness. My closet is like a black hole.
She's all about using vertical space, shelves, drawers, Matching hangers help make it look neater, too. She even suggests making your closet feel like a little room with paint or wallpaper.
Decorating the closet. That's such a fun idea. It's not just a boring space anymore.
It's about bringing that design thinking into every part of your home. Okay, so bedroom, closet. What about the bathroom? It's usually the smallest room, but it's part of your everyday routine. Emma wants the bathroom to feel like a spa, a place to pamper yourself.
I'd love that. But how do you do spa-like in a tiny bathroom?
Well, decluttering is key, of course. And using pretty storage to keep things organized. She loves calming colors, soft lighting, natural materials like wood and stone.
And those little extra touches that make it feel really luxurious.
Like soft towels, a nice bathrobe, maybe even a vase of flowers. It's creating that sensory experience.
Those little details can really change how a space feels. We've covered so much, like practical stuff, tips and tricks. But I feel like there's this bigger idea here, something Emma keeps coming back to in the book. It's like our homes are more than just places we live. They're kind of a reflection of who we are?
It's true, isn't it? How you design your space says a lot about you, what you care about, even what you dream of.
Exactly. Emma's big on this idea that our homes are like these evolving stories, not just a picture frozen in time.
Yeah.
They should change as we do through different parts of life.
It's about having a space that works for who you are right now, but also can change as you grow.
I love that. It's like giving yourself permission to experiment, to try new things, let your home change organically.
Yeah. Let go of needing it to be perfect. Embrace the little imperfections. It should tell a story, not just be a perfectly staged, showroom.
And that story should be your story. Bringing in those personal touches, the things that make you happy, have meaning for you.
She talks about creating a sense of belonging, feeling connected to your space. And that comes from surrounding yourself with things you love, things that tell your story.
It's like weaving it all together, a tapestry of your life, the experiences, memories, all that.
Yeah, and it's not about following some rule book. It's about what feels right to you.
Speaking of what feels right, Emma also talks about sustainability, right? Like being mindful of the environment.
That's huge now, right? We're all thinking about our impact on the planet.
And it's not just using eco-friendly materials, it's choices you make throughout the whole process.
Like finding cool vintage furniture instead of buying new all the time, supporting local artists, even just being aware of how much waste you create.
She even talks about thinking about the life cycle of stuff, like what happens to this when I'm done with it?
It's a whole different way of thinking, right? Moving away from just throwing things away and towards making them last, reusing them.
Love that. It's good for the planet and it's good for us too, right?
Totally. And sustainable doesn't have to mean boring or ugly. There's so much beautiful stuff out there. Reclaimed wood, organic fabrics, energy-efficient appliances, all that.
It's about being thoughtful, knowing you're creating a home that's beautiful and irresponsible.
Yeah, a home that shows what you believe in and leaves the world a little better.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into house rules, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that interior design, it's not just about making things pretty.
It's so much more, right? It's about creating a space that makes you feel good, shows who you are, tells your story.
It's about that feeling of being truly at home.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about following every rule perfectly. It's about what feels right to you. Having fun, experimenting.
I couldn't agree more. So listeners, what about you? What stuck with you from house rules? What are you excited to try out in your own home?
Tell us in the comments. We love hearing from you.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. We'll be back next week with another topic to explore.
Until then, happy decorating.